Imagine a battlefield where the tanks don't just shoot, they flatten buildings. Where every shell is the size of a refrigerator, and every shot shakes the earth. Buster rushed to the front in desperation. The other, a German monster designed to crush cities. Today, we're putting them head-to-head, their origins, firepower, battlefield performance, and the ultimate question: which one would you rather face off against? Let's dive in. In 1939, during the brutal Winter War with Finland, the Soviet Union realized its tanks couldn't crack fortified bunkers, so they created something colossal. The KV-2 was based on the already impressive KV-1, but with one absurd difference: a towering turret housing a 152mm howitzer. It looked more like a gun turret on wheels than a tank. Its job: blow through concrete, flatten bunkers, break enemy lines wide open. On paper, it was terrifying. That gun could annihilate fortified positions in a single hit. Its armor could shrug off most German anti-tank rounds, at least in the early war. But that firepower came at a cost. Turret rotation, often manual. Reliability, questionable. And if the terrain wasn't flat, forget about aiming properly. Still, in the first days of Operation Barbarossa, one legendary KV-2 held up an entire division for hours until it finally ran out of fuel and ammo. Meanwhile, on the other side of Europe, Germany was losing men by the thousands in cities like Stalingrad. What they needed was a siege engine. Enter the Sturmtiger of a Tiger chassis with the soul of a battleship. Armed with a 380mm rocket-propelled mortar originally designed for U-boats, it could turn entire buildings into rubble with a single shot. This wasn't a tank. This was an armored rocket artillery platform, designed to lead assaults in urban hellscapes. But firing it wasn't simple. A special vent at the front had to backblast the gases out, or the vehicle might explode from its own firepower. And the shells each weighed nearly 800 pounds. Reloading took minutes and often had to be done from outside the tank. Used during the Warsaw Uprising and in the Battle of the Bulge, the Sturmtiger terrified anyone in its path if it managed to get there on time. Both of these metal monsters were built for one job: crush the enemy with overwhelming firepower. But let's compare. The KV-2 was more common, over 300 built. It fired a massive shell, but needed direct line of sight and had serious mobility issues. The Sturmtiger, only 18 were ever made. It packed more raw explosive power, but was nearly useless if caught off guard or in the open. The KV-2 was a bunker buster on wheels. The Sturmtiger was a demolitions expert with armor. But while the KV-2 was fighting from day one, the Sturmtiger showed up late in the war of a desperate measure, not a game changer. Both of these tanks were dead ends, engineering marvels that pushed past the edge of practicality. The KV-2 was retired by 1942, replaced by more versatile tanks like the T-34 and Su-152. The Sturmtiger saw action in a handful of battles before the war ended. Today, just a few survive museum pieces that remind us of a time when brute force seemed like the answer to every problem. The KV-2 and Sturmtiger were symbols of two very different wartime philosophies, both bold, both flawed, and both unforgettable. So, who wins? That depends on where and how they meet. In the open, maybe the KV-2. In a city street, you don't want the Sturmtiger looking your way. Let us know which you think would dominate. Subscribe for more armored showdowns, like, share, and smash that bell icon. History is never just black and white, it's 38 tons of steel and firepower rolling through the fog.